Hi, good afternoon. It's Michelle Silverman Bedell, the broker of Silverson's Realty. Today, I would like to speak about the new regulations, really effective August 17th, although people are starting to put it in use now. It means that the buyers will now be have an exclusive, the agents rather, will have an exclusive right to representation with the buyer, or a non-exclusive representation with the buyer. So before, the fees paid to the buyer's agent was always done through the listing agreement that the homeowner had with with the seller's agent or the listing agent. But now buyers will have to compensate their agent unless there is an agreement between the homeowner and the buyer and the listing agent that they will still compensate the buyer's broker, but that it cannot be stated in the listing. It will have to be off listing. So to discuss the exclusive right to represent agreement, the buyer, when I meet with the buyer before I tour a property, I will have to discuss my compensation. And that compensation could be a fixed rate, it could be in a retainer, or it could be a percentage. And based on that, and that is an agreement that is between the real estate agent, the buyer's agent, as well as the buyer. It's very important to explain the process to them, but really to explain what you do for them, the services you provide. So for instance, when I work with a buyer as well as a seller, but in this case a buyer, I do all my due diligence, right? So I will visit the building department, I will visit the assessor, I receive a the property card, I'll check all permits, I'll make sure there are no liens on the property, I'll check any environmental issues, such as any information I can get environmentally, so possibly there was an underground storage tank, or do they have septic? If they have a septic system, then I have to contact the Board of Health. So it's very important, as well as checking square footage. There's very often times that the square footage on the property, the listing, is incorrect. And it could be off by more than, let's say, 250 square feet, or it could be even more so. Also, it's very important to check the taxes. The taxes should not reflect any exemptions. So it's like a star exemption or a veterans exemption, because those exemptions do not transfer with the sale. It does not transfer with it's not traded. It starts fresh. The new buyer will not be able to avail themselves of any exemptions. So it's very important, as a buyer's representative or buyer's agent, that you check everything, including the taxes. In addition, you may also want to check a survey to make sure there are no easements on the property. You want to know what your buyer client is going to use it for, right? Sometimes people want to knock it down. Some people want to put a pool in. It's very important to know their usage, because very often that property can no longer be used for what the new buyer wants to use it for. It's happened to me several times, and it's very, very important. It's also very important to make sure there are no deed restrictions or any kind of easements on that property. So a survey is a very handy tool in order to be able to know this. So getting back to the exclusive right to represent, anything I would show that buyer, I'm allowed to receive a compensation. Now, it's very important to know that even before I make that offer, I will contact the listing agent and say to them, is your client willing to compensate, the homeowner willing to compensate me? If they are, I cannot receive any more in compensation than what I've agreed to with the buyer. So it's very important to have all your forms signed in advance. Now, if there is a non-exclusive right to represent, I would only be entitled to a fee based on those properties that are clearly defined in my agreement. It could be 5 properties, 10, whatever I've shown them. I have to keep a good list, and it would only be those exact properties. I also want to note that there's a beginning date and an end date to this, to the exclusive right to represent, or whether it be an exclusive or non-exclusive agreement. So that's it for today. I really just wanted to highlight these two forms, and then next time I'd like to speak about dual agency and the interaction of these forms with dual agents. So have a great day, and if you have any questions, give a call. Be well. Bye-bye.